I couldn't bond with her when she was a baby. So I remember telling my husband something is happening. And I was just crying because, again, as a mom, you're supposed to. And I remember what I felt with Mia. And I'm like, this is not fair. Why do I feel this way? But have in mind, my body was healing from two different traumas, different surgeries, and I was not sleeping. So I had every single reason to be crazy with hit with depression and anxiety as any. And I remember I was doing my research, and just by having that post-traumatic, like what happened to me and not getting answers, and that kept going on for months, by the way. Even people like that, I remember seeing research, there was a high risk of having anxiety and depression, but I was like in denial. And I'm like, no. So I think the first red flag that was I couldn't bond with the baby. So I just felt like it was my work. I would do everything. And I would tell Edgar, and he being a man, I'm like, I have something to tell you. I was just crying. I don't feel like, because I was just so obsessed with me. I was like that moment. And he was like, oh, that. I thought you were going to do, I don't know what thought I was going to tell him, but he thought it was something worse than that. So I think that was the first red flag. Then the pediatrician noticed, he knew me for years. He knew my personality. You remind me of my daughter. And he was like, Idalis, I think get checked because I know you and I can see you. My mom came to visit and my mom was like, I know you're fighting it. Like, so people were seeing it. I always like my makeup, my thing. I was not putting anything. I was wearing like the same clothes over and over. And I was just afraid to tell people how I felt, especially even my husband, because I love him. He loves me. But I always thought, okay, like this is my role. Like I need to, I'm the mom. He's the provider now. Like, I don't know how many, I'm pretty sure like every single person who's been a stay-at-home mom feels that. And I wish if I had the wisdom and what I know now to talk more and ask for help, because I definitely needed help. I definitely needed at least somebody who come like every other hour. So anyways, so that process was what led for me like more stuff, more doctor's appointment. Then I became a different person, and it was just like I became like the shadow of myself. And in that process, we kept going to specialists to see what was going on with me. If it was something that I needed to fear, I was afraid to travel. I was afraid to do anything. It took me like 6 months to finally have a good night's rest. And everything just kept on adding on. So I think by the time Valentina was like 7 months old, I had it. And I was the first time that I went on a jog. I was like, I can't do this. I went to one of the specialists and he was like, he knew my story. He knew my background. He was a Hindu guy, very smart doctor. And he was like, Idalis used to be an athlete, right? He was like, yeah. He was like, why didn't you just work out? Why didn't you just run? And I'm like, but I can't run because of my neck. And then he was like, he literally was like so real and very different what other doctor would say. He was like, what else do you have to lose? Like, it was kind of like, if that's going to make you feel better, be outside and jog, like just for mental sanity and for your body. And that's when I started like running little by little. And then I started studying, buying books. Okay, I want to get stronger. I cannot control all these things, but I can control what I do. And for me, it was education. I started watching all these documentaries that everybody has watched about nutrition, Hungry for a Change, Food Matters. And I was just taking notes. I would see those over and over. Then I would buy books. I hated all vegetables all my life. So I started juicing. It was the only way juicing that at least I could get nutrients. So it was like, okay, what can I do? Little by little, I started adding more nutrients. And then I became such a fitness nerd that I bought every single book that you can imagine, like even books that people, that's how you get the certifications. And then I'm like, I might as well just start getting certifications. And that's how I ended up like generally having that passion. But I didn't want to train athletes. I'm like, no, I want to deal with moms, with women who have been told they can do anything, people who feel depressed, people who feel like they don't have any hope, and at least like let them like teach them little things that they can do to feel better about themselves, to get stronger, to empower them. And then I started getting clients. I was not charging people at first. I could not see myself until, I'm not kidding, I had like big classes. To me was like, until obviously my husband was like, what are you doing? Like, because then So I had, because I wasn't making money, I would take my daughters to the car. Okay, you guys play there while I teach. So it was super unprofessional, but they were getting such amazing workouts and they were getting results that they were like, they don't care. They were not going to complain if my daughters were around. And then little by little, I started like having a business, charging. Then I have like big goals. I'm like, okay. I remember seeing Beachbody and I'm like, I can do that. I can be like, I can totally do that job. And not like, mean way, but I'm like, I can move. Like, I know fitness. I know what it takes now. I know what it is to go from not even being able to do a push-up again to barely even be able to bathe Valentina many times. And if I did it with myself, I had clients that were losing more than 100 pounds in a very sustainable way, because I have people who hated running too. So it's so funny now that I ended up, my last program was running, and now I have to convince people to get to run, because in the boot camp, people were like, oh, I hate running. And I already knew, no, you just hate it because you're bad at it and you've never done it properly. And then I'm not kidding, like, Julie, those were the girls that were killing it at the end, and they became amazing runners.